Good evening. This is my final project for Personal and Social Ethics from Colorado State University. Over the last 5 weeks, we've gotten a lot of insight into ethics and personal values and such. Today, I'm going to do my presentation, and I'm going over a few verses that I've pulled out that really suit the situation good. Ethical insight into a few different areas that I learned a little bit extra about. I have a case study that I'm going to go through, and then a final ethical dilemma, shall we say, that I fight with over which side of the fence I should be on. So, first, I'd like to go into a couple verses. One is Luke 10:27. He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." To me, that goes right to the base of ethics. If we can show the love from our heart, deep down in our soul, the agape love that Jesus talks about showing that he showed God, and that we are supposed to also show him and show God. I think that all the other ethics that we have in our natural law that were given to us from God, from birth, from creation, will come out. That agape love, that deep love. The second one is Colossians 3:5-6. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immortality, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil, desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. The things that we dwell on that are personal things, C.S. Lewis talked to us about those things that are good in life, but when we make them personal, that we can also put them over top of God, i.e., as the verse I just read, that goes into the idolatry. We're worshiping this over God. Last, I'd like to look at Exodus. Now, I pulled out Exodus 20:13-17. These are the last last five commandments that all pertain to personal. It's the personal being. Um, 13, you shall not murder. 14, you shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And 17, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. You should not strive for those things. It's what is given to you by God, what you have worked for, what you can be pleased with. Don't look to other people and what they have. Yeah, the old adage, the grass is always greener. Don't think it's greener on the other side. Be thankful for what you have now. And that boils down to, once again, that deep, deep inside, really feeling satisfied with yourself and understanding that God is working through you and through that love. So that really boils down to my Christian ethics and how I start with that and everything else can come out. The next is the ethical insights. The ethical insights, the first one I pulled up was abortion. In the past, there's been a lot of issues for me with abortion. Now that I've done a lot more studying on it and I've read a lot more, I have a lot better understanding, and I know a lot more people that are solid within a good faith and they really know what they're looking at. I can see the whole human aspect of the infant, of the fetus. Um, so abortion is a big one. Um, the next one is physician-assisted suicide. Physician-assisted suicide, I wasn't sure what the definition was of it previously, but now that I know that the physician-assisted suicide is really just allowing the natural course of death to happen giving some morphine or other painkillers maybe to help ease the suffering as the person dies so they don't feel the pain as they go. I can really understand that, and I can get on board with that opinion right there. The next I looked at was from C.S. Lewis, and that was fair play and harmony. And in fair play and harmony, he chose three different things. Fair play and harmony was the second. But he says all the ethics fall underneath. And if we treat others as we expect to be treated, fair play, and we have harmony and peace in our soul, the ethics that we live by will show, the love for God will show, and the ethics will come up. And it's real easy to start dwindling down a lot of other things. We have some things that want to hold with us, and it's harder to get rid of. But for those general things, it's really good. Next, I'd like to get into my case study. My case study, I picked a 20-year-old college student asking about having an abortion. I wanted to look into what it would take to go over all this and view this and see what she really needs to think about. So first we had to gather some facts. I picked out she's in her first trimester of her unplanned pregnancy. Now the first trimester on the political side is still considered to be, the fetus isn't developed enough yet, so you can do an abortion on the political side. Unmarried, she's paying for school on her own. Her parents aren't helping her. She's doing this on her own. She cannot return to her parents because she feels she has too much shame. The way she was raised, going back to her parents really isn't an option for her. So next I have to look at determine the ethical issues. One, the fetus is a person. The fetus is an innocent. Abortion is equated to murder. Now, with the fetus being a person, in Jeremiah, it talks about how from conception, I knew you from conception, is what God is talking about. And knowing from conception tells me that the fetus has a soul. There's a soul there that was with God or is going to be with God or knows God. So right at conception, I'm already looking at that as a person. Determine what virtues and principles have a bearing on the case. What are the individual's values in life? Where are the individual's spiritual beliefs? So we had to look at that. We had to discuss that. We had to sit down and say, what do you believe? Why did you come to me in the first place asking me, what should I do? Obviously, you had something that was stopping you from going out and doing the abortion. So we had to look at that. With the spiritual beliefs and the individual values, the person was raised in a good Christian family. They have that background. They know what that background is, and they really don't want to see themselves giving this baby up an abortion. So we had to list the alternatives. There's three good choices that we can look at for the individual if the individual does not want to have an abortion. Keep the child and work through parenting issues. The college has many different babysitting type things. There is the whole nursing area that she will definitely have to work through, but our class here, our class there, in between times, there's ways that she can work it if she really wants to. Um, Fostering the child until such a time that she can manage the care. There is foster programs where a child could go into a foster program, and if she decides to give the child up and the child is in her fostering program, there is sometimes the opportunities, or she can place the child with a person that is looking to possibly have the opportunity of adopting the child in the future. So adoption being the third. Now the alternatives, compared with the virtue and principles, well, the alternatives fall in line with the individual's values and principles. So that we don't have to worry about too much. Consequences, of keeping the child, finding care while the class is, getting a job, caring for the child while trying to study. Foster, having a child she loves but not being able to see when she wants. And adoption, lose all contact with the child. Considering Christian ethics, well, we have to look at our decision. After talking with her parents at length, this is the first thing I wanted to go and do. She has decided to keep the child. So now we've gone to the parents and we've actually got them on board. I looked at a nice young lady with a good Christian background, knew the family had to be in there somewhere, we just had to get past all the shame. And what's going to end up happening is her parents will adopt her child while she is actively in school. The possibility then presents itself once she graduates to get her child back if she so desires. She might end up being at a spot where she needs to get a job and she has to go forward, and the child is already moving forward in their life with the grandparents, and they might decide to keep it at that level. But the option will be there. So that's what we really had to look at. The last thing I want to talk about is an ethical value that I personally am on the fence with, and that is the ethics of war. It's war or pacifism. Excuse me, pacifism. One, war fought in the name of Christ. For the last 2,000 years, there's been wars waged in the name of Christ. The Crusades, that's a big one. You have the Inquisition, it's another one. Muslims killed within the Inquisition, or Muslims killed over in the Crusades. Is that war justifiable and holy? Now, we're told it is, but is it really justifiable and holy? War or pacifism? The next is fighting for the government. I myself served in the military for 30 years. I go out and I fight war because I'm told to fight war by a government. How ethical is the war that we're going to in the first place, that I'm out there killing a person in the name of what? And there ends up being the problem. What am I doing when in the Bible it says thou shalt not murder, and I'm out killing somebody without knowing the ethical values? And last would be protecting family and home. So if I'm not going to war to fight for somebody else who I don't know why I'm there, but now I'm looking at protecting my family and home, is it justifiable to shoot somebody that walks into my house and kill them? Or should I be a pacifist and sit back and allow them to kill my children? There's where I have the problem. So all in all, out of all of it, I really had a good 5 weeks looking at different stuff. Love the C.S. Lewis. He really gave me some good insight that was on my level. My references are C.S. Lewis, R. Ray, The Moral Choices, the book we had, and finally, Fantelli and Acott. It's an unplanned pregnancy. It's an article out of Mental Healthy, which is out of the UK. They gave me some good insight on the different choices you could have when it came to, no abortion. Instead, you go with foster or adoption or keeping a child. Anyway, there we have it. That's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.